Welcome to Overeaters Anonymous podcast number 5. This podcast will focus on individual stories of recovery. Throughout this podcast, we'll be referring to Overeaters Anonymous by its acronym, OA.
Joining us today is Beth. Hi, Beth.
Hi there.
Can you tell us where you're from?
I'm from New Zealand, from Auckland, New Zealand.
Tell us, how did you find out about OA?
One of my colleagues at work suddenly started losing weight, and I watched her for a little bit before I got brave enough to ask her why she was changing. But in particular, what I liked was she was losing weight and she wasn't going loopy. She actually had a real glow about her, and that really appealed.
When you asked her what she was going through, what was her response?
She told me about this program that she'd joined that wasn't about diets and calorie counting and weigh-ins, and boy, did that appeal to me big time.
How long have you been a member of OA?
Nearly 20 and a half years now.
Tell us about your first experience with OA.
I got really desperate, and then I finally got brave enough for her to ask her to take me to a meeting. And I remember coming along to my first meeting, and all I can remember from that is to keep coming back for 6 weeks. It's really interesting. That's the one clue that I heard. And in those first 6 weeks, I heard people telling my story. And by doing that, I started to learn that there was a solution, that I wasn't the only person in the world that was doing the crazy things I was doing.
If you could, Beth, tell us about the desperation point in your life when you decided to do something.
Okay. For me, everything that I did had to present a perfect facade, and I spent a lot of time to the outside, making sure the outside world thought everything was perfect. And I was, and in fact, I was trying to hide what I was doing with my eating. And I'd gone to my favourite ice cream parlour to get my binge food, a huge ice cream sundae. And the poor girl behind the counter didn't give me enough scoops of ice cream. And I lost it big time, and I screamed at her because she wouldn't give me enough scoops of ice cream. And then suddenly I came to standing in the middle of an ice cream parlour, and I knew I'd been, I'd lost it big time. And I was so terrified. I ran out of the shop, and then when I got out of the shop, I realised I didn't have my ice cream that I wanted desperately, but I was too ashamed to go back in and say, give me my food. And that's when I knew I was out of control.
Had you tried other programs to address your compulsive overeating?
No, I'd known deep inside of myself for a long time that I couldn't diet, and the programs seemed to be about diets, and I figured, well, I know I failed that desperately, so I'm not going to go somewhere. And also, people always seem to have to eat cottage cheese on those other programs, and I don't do cottage cheese.
That's great. Why is it so important that OA members are anonymous?
I've come to understand that it's about the principles that this program's about. It's not about the personalities. And if it was about personalities, well, we could booster our own egos and forget that this is really about coming to live a saner, healthier life. And that's a personal journey. It's not about, being fancy, being important. So the principles that this program's about are way more important than each person.
In your own words, how would you differentiate between a diet program and OA?
I guess that I needed to have, I had to figure out for me what my crazy eating was, what were the things I did wrong for me, and those were the things I needed to address. And that's what I found by working the steps, by step 1, step 2. It got me to think about what it was that I was doing. Whereas if I just went to a diet program and was given a diet that was written by somebody else, it wouldn't work for me. And that was really important.
What would you tell other people about OA?
When I'm talking about OA to other people, I tell them about what it was like for me, what sorts of things I was doing with the food. And then by doing that, I can say how it's different now and how OA is about finding a spiritual program. It's about finding out the physical, emotional and spiritual parts that will help me to get stronger and to live a happy, joyous and free life.
So how is your life different now with OA in it?
If I could describe myself when I came in, it was about living in a facade of having everything perfect, because I was frightened of everything, and I lived a very isolated life. I was going out twice in a night to takeaway bars and always talking to the people behind the counter like I was buying for two people. And I'd also always go to a different takeaway place every time so they could never get used to me. They couldn't figure out who I was and that I was the same person coming back again and again. And I'd be going to friends' places, but before I'd gone to their place, I'd already have eaten a meal. And I don't have to do any of that now. I can have 3, healthy, moderate, nourishing meals a day. But I don't do that by myself. I do it with the power of my higher power. And I now have had a way of dealing with life as it comes. I hear about, acting on life rather than reacting to it. And that's certainly how it's been for me now. And now I'm scared. Being frightened and scared is not my first way of approaching life. I'm willing to give things a go. I used to give up on things. If something got difficult, I'd give up straight away. For me, it's totally different. Food now is in its place 99% of the time. And I can do stuff now that I could never have done before. And, I can perform really amazing miracles like cycle 80K. That's great. It's really, really good.
Well, thank you for sharing your story with us today. And thank you for joining us for this podcast. For more information on Overeaters Anonymous, please go to www.oa.org or call the World Service Office in the United States at area code 505-891-2664. Thanks.